Again, today is just it's a very informal conversation that we're having. So what we're going to be doing today is we've got Erin Silver from Silver Salon in South Carolina. We have Darrell Barrett and we have Hope White. Darrell, sorry, where are you exactly?
Me, I'm just north of Baltimore, Hunt Valley, Maryland, like Towson area.
And Hope, you're in Fairhope, Alabama, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining. We'll get started right away. I just want to just say thanks to Hope, Darrell, and Erin, who have agreed to join us today, taking time out of their busy, crazy, hectic schedules and join us on this webinar. The focus today and the conversation that we want to have, and again, this is a series of webinars that we're doing here at Vish. The goal is really just to talk to Vish users, talk to people who've had experience with Vish and had a lot of success with Vish. And then at the end of this webinar, so we'll do about a 30-minute conversation, and at the end of the webinar, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A. So if anybody has questions, you can send them through in the chat, but we'll also open it up as well at the end of the webinar. So what we're going to do, my name's Tim Howard, for everybody who doesn't know me. So I work in innovation at Bish. The original concepts were something that I thought about and created. Thought about 12 years ago. I've been a salon owner in the industry for 25 years. I've owned 2 salons. I work with a major manufacturer for about 15 years, connecting with hairdressers and salon owners and industry people all over the world. And then, just kind of identifying some of the problems that we were having in our industry in terms of lack of control over the color bar and lack of insight into what's really happening. So that was sort of the origins of Vish. But of course, there have been many, many iterations, many versions that have come out and will come out as we continue to evolve the product. Today, we're going to be focusing on strategies for motivating your team. So it's not even just with Vish, when we're talking about motivating people, what are we doing every year? How are we connecting with our teams? But when we're trying to introduce something new, how do we motivate them? How do we motivate people to get out of what they're currently doing every day to implement a new system that maybe takes them a little bit longer to use or just changes up their workflow? And as we know, hairdressers are the ones that deliver change every day to their customers, but are at times quite hesitant or resistant to change themselves. So we'll talk about that quite a bit. We'll talk about favorite metrics and what they mean for salon owners. So that is relating directly to some of the data that you'll see and that we collect at Vish. We'll kind of talk in broad terms, but we'll break them down as much as we can. And again, if anybody has any specific questions about some of the metrics, there'll be an opportunity at the end to talk about them. So we'll talk about Stylus Hacks for best formula tracking. Just little tips and tricks to using the Vish app to optimize it for speed, time, efficiency in the salon. We'll also look at using the inventory forecast reporting in the Vish dashboard. So we can look at reordering products, but we can also look at how we would go about and slim down your inventory, or maybe you're carrying not enough of one product and you need more of another. So we'll talk about that as well, and common pitfalls and overlooked parts of the Vish system. So things that we can do to sort of optimize performance and that your team are using Vish to its full capability, and then maybe some things that we can help you sort of understand a little bit better. As always, and my day-to-day job is working directly with the customer support team. So we're always available if you have any questions after this webinar. If you want to book a data review with myself or anybody on the team, there's an opportunity to do that as well. So, and just on that topic, if there are people on the call today that maybe haven't had a data review in a while and would like one, please let us know and we'll be happy to connect that with you. You can email me at any time. My email is timothy@getvish.com. So TIMOTHY@getvish.com. I'll be happy to do it. Okay, so what we're going to focus on first, and again, this is going to be a casual conversation. Excuse me. The goal is that we just have a free form. I'd like to introduce you to everybody on the panel today. They'll give a little bit of a background about themselves. And then I think everybody on the panel has individual stories or something unique about their experience with Bish and rolling it out. And then some of the insights that they've gained since using Bish for a few months now. So we're going to start by talking about the initial launch with Bish, how the beginning of the journey was for you, and how did you encourage the stylists in your salon to use the system to ensure that they get the most out of it. So if I could just sort of direct that with you, and again, if you need me to rephrase that question, but I'd like to start with you, Erin, and just talk about maybe, what your initial is, when you launched, and just what you found for the first initial launch of Bish.
Yeah. So I'm Erin. My husband and I, we own Silver Salon in South Carolina. And like most of you guys, 2020 started out with, it's going to be the best year ever. And it was a great year, lots of learning. But our initial introduction was actually just a referral from another company. And friends of ours that have a salon in Greenville, South Carolina, they said, hey, here's how we do inventory. I think we just stopped by their new location and we just thought it was really cool. And we're all about technology and all of that. At the time, I was doing all of our inventory myself, as far as ordering and that sort of thing. It was just hard. We were using the bucket method. And so I guess fall of 2019, we made that first really connection with Tim, and did a demo, I think with maybe Luke, possibly.
Yeah, correct.
So then fast forward to, the pandemic of 2020, we got another phone call from Luke. We had not signed on at that time. And he said, hey, here's what we're doing for everyone during COVID. And do you want to do it? So we looked at each other and we said, now's as good of a time as any other. At the time, we were like, what better time to implement something new than after being closed for 8 weeks? So we got our team on board, and May 18th, we reopened, or were able to reopen. And that was day one with Bish. So, yep, that's our story.
And how about you, Darrell? What was your sort of, when did you decide to start using Bish, and what were some of the things that got you to make the switch and to move to Bish? And then what was your initial launch like? How did you feel that went?
So my initial introduction was from Derek and Jill from Culture Curators. I had hired them as coaches while we were shut down, and pretty much the whole summer and the remainder of the year. And they told me about Vish. So, being a colorist and a salon owner and an ex-employee, I've always weighed in the beginning my color. Sometimes I'll put it in the system and say, all right, I'm going to mix less last time because I wasted a half an ounce or an ounce. But, you really need something to help you with that, like Vish has. Our initial launch was awesome. I'm fortunate enough to have a manager who does things during the day while I'm doing hair. I think we set up one-on-ones with you guys, with each of our stylists. Fortunate enough to have a great team, so very receptive with Vish. And I guess we were pretty successful right away within that first month. We were already up above the 90% reweigh consistently and haven't gone down since.
In fact, Darrell, you actually reached out to me because I think there was something happened and you weren't able to reweigh one of your bowls, and you weren't very happy about that because your percentage was at 100%, and then it went down to 99 because of this one bowl. So you were quite on top of it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So sorry, Darrell, do you want to just introduce yourself a little bit as well, just where you are, where your salon is, etc.?
My name's Darrell Barrett, and I have Darrell Barrett Salon and Spa, and I'm in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Getting ready to relocate, hopefully, to Timonium, which is about 3 miles away. COVID, had an impact on all of our businesses, so I am downsizing into a smaller space, which isn't a bad thing because I have a pretty large space. And been in the business 13 years as an owner, and in the industry for 27 years as a stylist, and still learning, obviously, because now 27 years later we have Vish in our salon, which is helping tremendously with profits.
Awesome. And sorry, so Darrell, you're behind the chair. Erin, are you also behind the chair?
Yes, I'm about 2.5 days behind the chair.
Okay. And how many years have you been doing hair, Erin?
16.
Okay. And salon owner for how many years?
We celebrate 9 years in about a week.
Oh, congrats. Congrats. Happy
Thanks.
early anniversary. And last but not least, of course, everybody, this is Hope White. Hope, if you'd like to give yourself an introduction as well and kind of talk about your initial launch with Bish.
Yes. Hey, everyone. I'm Hope White. I have salons in Spanish Fort, Alabama and Fairhope, Alabama, Salon 31. And I've been doing hair for 10 years and been a salon owner for 9.5 years. And I do hair about 2 days behind the chair a week. We started using Vish 2 years ago, and it's been great.
And so, Hope, yours a little. Oh, let me just see what that says. And what was your? So we had a sort of slightly different rollout with you because we did an initial rollout. When was the first time that we introduced Bish to your team? When did that training happen?
2 years ago. It was the summer. It was the summer would be 2 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so 2019. And then after that, we did another rollout. So you opened a salon. When was your second location opened?
September of 20.
Okay, so September,
Crazy
so just
enough.
after. Right.
Yeah.
And then what was different? How can you compare the two? How did the first one roll out with Bish happen versus the second one?
It was really easy. We knew exactly what to get, the right equipment to buy. We were training before we ever opened. My new staff was being trained, but it's really easy. It works well with our software, and I mean, it saves us a fortune.
Did you find, so when you made a decision that you weren't going to open unless everybody was trained before you opened with Bish?
Right.
So how was that? Was that a much easier rollout than sort of retroactively doing it? Was there anything that you would like just opening a new salon and a bunch of new systems? I mean, was that much different than your first rollout?
Yeah, I would say so, because the need was there and everyone knew it's just what we're doing. So, and the stylists much more see the benefit in it now as opposed to just extra work for them to do. I mean,
Excellent.
You should know if something goes down, I'm calling you, because my phone is blowing up. Yeah. They have to have it.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everybody some sort of general questions and we'll go through, and then I'll move into your individual stories as well. So how do you continue to motivate your team right now? So, and this is again, not just directly related to Vish, but in terms of, we've got a bunch of new restrictions with the amount of people we can see in the salon, therefore pay, bonuses, incentives, all those things are affected, revenue share. So how do you continue to keep your teams motivated during these challenging times that we're facing right now? And again, I'll just start with you, Erin, and then move down.
I mean, we are definitely blessed with a great team and we've got a great culture and all of that. But I do think for us, the biggest, I guess, motivating factor is just the communication. So we have daily, weekly, monthly meetings, and that just is, I guess, the communication, everybody being in the know on what's happening and what's going on, what promotions are happening, that sort of thing. Regarding Vish, the biggest thing that we started a 100% club. And so in our weekly meetings, we celebrate our 100% reweighers. So it's kind of like this healthy competition between all of the stylists. And if they're not a part of the 100% club, then everybody knows it. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's just kind of something fun that they get to see their name in the presentation slides and that sort of thing. So
that's great. That's great. And just for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Vish, what reweigh is that what we do when you're done with your color bowl and you've cut, whether it's the color bowl is completely full or it's completely empty, we shoot to bring the color bowl back to the scale 100% of the time. And then what Vish is able to do is recalculate what is left in the bowl, deduct it from the formula, and then save that formula with the updated amount, which then in turn reduces your waste. So I know that Erin, you had talked about the bucket method, and I'm sure salon owners on this call are all familiar as well with taking your color, bucket, pouring your color in and trying to address the problem by showing them how much waste is happening. But again, those things are not always effective unless you have a system that helps them stop wasting. So the Reway does that. It really allows salons to stop having to talk about waste and just talk about Reway. It's a much more of a positive conversation. So Darrell, I'll ask you the same thing. So how do you continue to motivate your team now that we've got all these, restrictions and difficult times that we're dealing with right now?
So again, once we started with Derek and Jill, we implemented one-on-ones more often right away when we reopened. So we're every 2 weeks, and those one-on-ones are with our Kpis. We have 5 or 6 key performance indicators that we discuss with them. And they're their goals. And at the end of that is Vish, Reway, and productivity. We try to get our productivity around 80%. So that's their goal. And then with our Vish Reway, it's above 90%. I also put in that block dollar per service that they used over the last 2 weeks. And we were going to do some competitions, have the 100% Reway Club, things like that. And it actually wasn't necessary because we report our numbers every night on Slack. So they keep a scorecard. So they know all of their numbers, and they'll come to us like, what's my dollar per service right now? What's my Reway right now? Even before their 2-week meeting. So when they get in there, they're really, can I get my dollar per service below $3 or below $4? So the meetings more often is what's helped keeping them motivated. Sometimes you go 3, 4, 5 months, some salons a year without having a team meeting and there's no communication, which I'm sure we've all either been part of that somewhere or in your own salon. Time flies. But with Slack and the team meetings, communication is every single day. So I think that's what keeps them motivated is as far as Vish goes, they really want to know how good they're doing because they don't want to be the one at the bottom, bringing down the percentage.
And it's really about that. It's about transparency. And again, for everybody who may not be familiar with Darrell's talking about or metrics that Bish provides, which is we'll show you everybody on the team and how much they're using per application. So an overview, if maybe some people on the team are using $8 per application, where if you get people like Darrell Barrett who are using $3 and around $3 per application, it really gives you insight into not just waste, but just what people's work habits are. So the goal is that we're able to have that insight and then bring everybody's per application cost down. And then we, provide coaching opportunities for that as well. So for Hope, if I can ask you the same sort of, how do you continue to motivate your team? And as you just increase to a larger team size, what are some of the challenges you have keeping them motivated? And what are some of the ways that you do keep them motivated?
I have a good team. I have 22 staff members. And it's not even like for us, I don't have it be optional whether they do use Vish, and I want them to see it as a benefit to them. And to be honest, like we do have weekly meetings and they turn their tracking things in daily and that sort of thing. But it's financially driven. I mean, they make 20% more. A lot of times they at least make 10% more, and you can see it and they get excited about that. So not only are they saving the salon money by not wasting accuracy, and then also financially, they all want to be motivated. What puts in their money in their pocket, but they can see that for sure. And that's why I said when it's not, if I have an issue with it with Wi-Fi or something, they go nuts because they know that they're making less money. They even go back and when that's happened before, they'll go back and look in the notes to what their previous ticket was with that particular guest, and they'll write it all down at the beginning of the day so that they know what they should be charging. But it's huge. It was a game changer for us for sure.
That's great. Thank you.
But I think that motivation wise, they just, I know that it's important to me to make sure that everyone there is a part of a team so that they don't want to be the only one that's not doing the right thing, So I try to be open and honest with everyone about their numbers. I even put them in the back room somewhere sometimes so that they can see what the Reway percentage is. And that changed in like 2 days. Everyone was at 100%. So it helps.
Fantastic. That's
Just
great.
accountability.
Well, just having that transparency too, right? So
Mhm.
when you have metrics, you want to be able to show everybody on the team, and then but
Right.
also have quick access. Okay, so I think I'm always long-winded when I talk, so I gotta keep conscious of everybody's time. So just quickly, if everybody, we'll start again with Erin, if we can just kind of go through and just let me know in a few words or a couple sentences what some of your favorite key metrics are. Like, what do you look at in your dashboard, and what are some of the things that you focus on?
So I guess we definitely look at our reweigh per person. That's definitely, we've already kind of talked about that. I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking, but my favorite report is the inventory report, because it shows you exactly what you use. That, we order weekly, so we pull it on a weekly basis. That is like magic to me. So it saves so much time.
That's great. Thank you. And then Darrell, why don't we just segue right into that? Because I mean, Erin brought up a great part was our inventory reporting. But why don't you, if you just spend a couple of minutes talking about your what we discovered over the last few months when we pulled your data, and some of the changes you made to how you order, but also how much stock you carry.
So I order weekly as well. But I've always wanted to know about my minimums and my maxes, and how to change them and when to change those. You lose a stylist, you gain a stylist. You're sitting there with, you can see all the color that we have behind us now. And there's stuff that doesn't move, right? Maybe they're just not using those colors. But we went from, Tim was happy enough. This is the bottom sheet of it. So it's an Excel spreadsheet. Tim put this together for us. And we went from having 593 tubes of color and I think we did over 4 months. And after that, we're down to 378 tubes. So close to over a third less inventory that I'll be doing. So that'll just take my orders down a lot over the next, month. Or I could call the company and say, hey, I have this extra color, I'd like to turn it in. But this was huge for us doing this. And to be honest with everyone, financially, my color orders have gone from $800 to $1,000 a week to $250 a week since I got Fish. So you can do the math.
Wow.
That's about $12,000 a year savings initially. So
Fantastic.
And I think you guys will be doing this with everybody eventually.
Yeah. So what we did, just to give everybody a quick overview, is when we took the time that Darrell started with the company, started with Vish, and then we looked at his overall usage over a period of time, over a 4-month period. And then we started extrapolating, well, how often are you ordering? What are your mins currently? And then we were able to look at that and actually get a more accurate view of what he needed to order every week. And because of what Erin was saying about our inventory report, is that you're able to pull this information really quickly so that it's efficient. You can order weekly and therefore carry less inventory. And, as we know, I mean, cash is king right now when we're going through restricted, the amount of people that we can have in our salons, limited capacity. So if anybody's interested in looking at these inventory reports, again, we're happy to do those. We'll probably have you can reach out to us after the call and we'll set up meetings so we can go over your inventory report with you. And then just to move into Hope quickly, I just would like Hope, if you could maybe just give us an overview. So some of the things that you and I talked about and we set up in the beginning was just, again, those missing services, and you just touched on them briefly in terms of, extra revenue, but also what it meant for the salon. And then what was your decision to open, and how were you able to open a second salon just, right after, the salon started reopening? And then again, you're also looking at, you're opening a third location now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do you want to just speak on that for a few minutes?
Okay, I can start with the missing services, talking about my favorite thing. When you remember estimating, thinking based off what my sales were the year before and what my color order was, remember you saying that was like going to be $90,000 in extra additional revenue, and I was like, there's no way. It was, I think, 120.
So say that again. So there's an extra $120,000 in extra revenue from your salon.
So that's part of
from the
some of the
product
money,
charges.
right, that we could use to open another salon, but extra product charges. And I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was that bad. But we charged almost 50% more for like even glossing. And because it seems to be like that, everyone uses glosses and you think of it not being a big deal, but the first day that I used it, both my glosses that I did that day, I captured an extra $58 in revenue, which is insane. And I'm the owner. So I was like, well, I just can't even deal with this. This is about to be crazy, but it's good that we did that because now everything's better. But I think we order probably 20% less color now.
Fantastic.
I feel like, I know for a fact, I looked at this and I can look for sure, but I feel like we order the same amount of color for both salons that we used to order for one.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Wow.
And my
Which
second
is
location it's smaller, but it's where we live. It's about 18 miles, 13 miles apart. And I live in Fairhope, and I would think there's no way people could drive to Spanish Fort. It's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of like, it's a long way to get, like hard to get there. There's no good way to get there. So the more I started thinking about it, I was like, there are people we're losing, not, to other salons, and we're better salons, so we can offer better service. So we opened in a smaller scale, and I started looking at this, found the space I feel like I found the space for sure in March, which is when everything went nuts. So I didn't sign a lease until after we were shut down for 6 weeks, and we opened back up in May, and I signed a lease in May and opened in September.
Obvious. And then your third location. So what's happening with your third location? Because that's
third location. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi originally, which is no one really lives in Jackson, but it's 3 hours from here. But they all live in suburbs around it. And my brother lives in Madison, so I would go visit. And I went to get a hair service, and I was like, "This is just tragic. Can't even do a blowout." But I paid $67 for it and tipped her. So I was like, "What? I feel like it's a missed opportunity." So when I got home, he said, "Why don't you just do it? You have all your stuff set up. You could just do it here." And I was like, "Yeah, no." But I found a space, and I was like, "Why don't I do it?" So I did. So I signed a lease 2 weeks ago, and I'll stay there myself and train 4 days a week, and then have my niece that I've trained, which is from there. She moved down here to work for me after she went to the Aveda Institute. So I've been having her training, like just really almost maturity wise, to like be able to be my eyes and ears. But I'll be there 4 days a week, and she'll be there one to start. And then I also have managers, and with everything being I have a manager, and I have somebody over my social media, and she does like inventory and that kind of thing. It's easy for them to go there once a month. And then I have educators still on staff. So I'll try to make them as much together as, I know they're 3 hours apart, but I'm going to try to make it still a unit. So I'm not going to have other people doing stuff there. Right. It's going to be the same people doing stuff for everyone, even like Zoom meetings, one-on-ones, that kind of thing. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know you're obviously not afraid of hard work, but, that's just it. With technology, just being able to pull this all together and have these group meetings. And that's actually a question somebody asked. So I'm going to probably call back on you in a minute when we open this up to Q&A. Just one last thing before we move into the Q&A. Erin, you said something to me quite a while ago when we were meeting. You sort of looked at what it was like when you onboarded, and I think you at one point, you didn't tell me at the time, but later you told me that you questioned, like, what am I doing? Why am I onboarding this right after the pandemic? If you could just kind of tell me what that was like, and then what it was like 30 days later when you actually finished the onboarding process.
I think everybody can relate essentially to what everybody was feeling in the midst of it. As salon owners, we definitely felt like this was what we were born to do. We were born to lead through a pandemic or anything awful like this. So we remained very positive, but we knew that our team was really, it was scary for them. We put them on unemployment for 8 weeks and then brought them back and said, "Hey, here you go. Here's another thing in addition to social distancing and wearing masks and extra cleaning procedures and protocols and stuff. Here's Vish." And so for us, we were not like true a la carte. We were pretty much a la carte, but we would include the glazing with the highlight, or we would put, charge for a half foil, but it might be a highlight and a low light. So we weren't true a la carte. And so I think our team during that first 30 days, of course, it was really hard. We had some people who were pushing through, and then we had a few breakdowns in that 30 days. But at the end of it, I think they realized that we were truly able to capture those additional services that we were not capturing prior. We definitely had some stylists that they just, and this is not a bad thing, they just need more color for the same service that someone else does. And it just is not a bad thing, but we didn't have a set way to capture that. So now on the other side of it, that 30 days, it's like, okay, use whatever color you need to, because we know that it's going to be accounted for, whether it's through an additional service or through an additional product charge or whatever. So being on the end of that 30 days, I think everyone could see the benefit for the salon, for the guest, and for themselves as stylists.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So let's take this opportunity now. So Sabrina, if we want to open it up so that everybody can ask some questions, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. I think we've got about 15 minutes or so left to the webinar. Olga, hi. I'm going to read out your question. So how often are you guys able to get your entire team to attend the more often meetings? So how is it? How are you guys explain? Oh, sorry. So yeah, on that note, so what are you doing to have these group meetings or these team meetings? What are you using? Is it technology you're using? And anybody feel free to answer that question on the panel.
So our one-on-ones are every 2 weeks, and they're set up for around 6 months. Every single person has an appointment on the book, whether it's with myself or my manager. So it's set. They know every other Tuesday at 9:30 there's that appointment. Other stylists might be right behind it at 9:45. We started off in the beginning with 30-minute appointments for our one-on-ones, but we got it down where it's a good 15 minutes is all we really need to discuss everything on the KPIs. So yeah, we put it on the schedule and it's there. So there's no motivating to get them there. Every once in a while they run over with a color or something and we'll switch them with someone else, but it's pretty easy.
That's great. And how about you, Hope? How are you planning on doing these meetings with your team when you've got different locations? Will they be group meetings via Zoom or via a video conferencing like we're using today?
We do Zoom meetings. We also put them on the book. They're every other, well, one of my locations is open 7 days a week. So that's a little bit challenging. So we just have to make sure that we go in, myself and Whitney, my manager, go in and put it on a calendar and it stays in the back and everybody's name is written on there, but it's also on their book. We do also do Zoom meetings. Every third meeting, I like to be in person. So with the location that I'm going to open, that can't be a thing that happens. We probably will do a Zoom. Like they'll Zoom into, everybody be at the one location and then we'll Zoom into that. But it's worked so far. I mean, if they want to talk to me personally, then I just go there and speak to them. But I mean, for the most part, I think everyone still feels just as part of a community.
Great. So just as connected to the video conferencing. Yeah. Right. I mean, I spend my days in my office not seeing anybody and I still feel like I'm getting that interaction with my team.
Same.
All right. So we've got one so do you offer incentives or punishments for your team to keep using Vish? So I hope, why don't you go ahead with that one?
Yeah, they don't work there if they don't use it. It's simple as that. Financially, that is incentive for them. Everyone can see how much more money they make by what they're charging. But for sure they don't work for me if they don't follow all the rules that I myself follow and everyone else that works there. Everybody needs standards.
Right, thank you. Anybody else? Are there any incentives or punishments that you offer?
I think it's just like it's kind of piggybacking off of Hope. It's just part of the culture. It's just what we do.
How about you, Darrell?
Everyone's
actually
accountable.
Darrell, can I ask you a separate question because this one just popped up? So somebody was asking about your KPIs. So what are the KPIs that you review with your staff aside from dollar amounts and service and reway? So what are some of the other things that you focus on in those KPIs?
All right, so it is dollar amount, then it's dollar per client for retail. It's rebooking percentage, client retention, and then new requests, Vish, and productivity. Okay,
great. And then I have another question from Olga. And again, anybody feel free. So this is one that I'm really glad. Thank you, Olga, for asking this question, This is a really important one that we at Vish try to communicate as much as we can. But Olga's question is, how do you explain to your guests the extra charges when they're checking out, especially to those guests that have been coming into the salon for years? So if anybody, Erin, do you want to touch on this one for a minute?
I mean, it is probably way easier than you think it is. That was at least my experience. Essentially, what we did was we kind of used COVID as an opportunity to say, hey, we've been closed for 8 weeks. We've implemented a new software program that actually helps to customize your color so that we get it right every single time. And you might actually have an additional line item that is your extra product charge. That's only used if we have to use a little bit extra than what our threshold is. And then I use just the example essentially of if we've got someone with really thick hair, their costs are going to be a little higher than someone with thinner hair. It really isn't even a thing. It just, and I know that's hard to kind of hear before you implement Vish, but once you have it, I mean, especially once you do that reweigh and you're using less color on that guest, it's going to be less.
And how about Hope and Darrell? Do you have anything that you want to say on that point before we wrap that question?
We have a sign up front that says all of our formulas are customized for each of our guests. You may incur additional color charges based on your needs today. And then, I mean, it's nominal. It's $2, $1, $3. You know, there's been the $7, $8, $9 ones before. I don't know if anyone's questioned it up front. And to be honest with you, if their bill's $190 and the color charge is $3, we just say your total is $193 today. We don't tell them no $3 color charge.
Would you say, Darrell, in your opinion, it's sometimes more the hesitation of the hairdresser than it is of the customer about the charges?
It definitely is, but they learn really quickly if they're over mixing that their client's going to pay more. And the next time they mix correctly, their client doesn't pay any, but they don't see the color charges, you know, unless they go up front and look at the app. They have no idea what their client's being charged additionally. Only the front desk sees that. But it makes sense. If your client comes in at 4 weeks for a retouch, why would they not pay more if they came in at 8 weeks? Same retouch. Yeah. Not double the amount of color, but it's close.
Gotcha. Thank you. And then Hope, on that topic, can you maybe talk about the, like when you talk specifically about your glazes and toners, right? So let me just kind of phrase that quickly for everybody. What we find, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but the actual numbers are staggering, that there's so many salons that are losing money every time they do a glaze and a toner. And by implementing the product charges and the product allowances through Vish, we're actually able to turn that around so that you can start being as profitable from a toner or a glaze than you would be from a highlight service or from a root touch-up service. So Hope, do you want to just maybe give us some insight into what you've seen with your glazes and toners?
Yeah, so we're in a beta salon, so we use all Aveda products, and they came, I guess Demi Plus has been around 3 years now. Sounds about right. I think that's about right. But it's a cleaner, more natural. So the ingredients are more expensive. And it was hard for us. To make them charge, it was 25 or maybe it's 32 that they used. And I was also paying commission on that. So it was such a game changer for us, but the customers don't ever, to me, they never say anything about it. We're talking about sometimes with Lightener, I've seen it as low as like a $3.75 charge. Well, that's huge if you think about it with 22 people and what you can do with that money. And I've also even told my staff, like I just got, we have insurance and we do these kinds of things, but benefits for 401k in retirement, I'm able to do things like that for them now, all in money that we were already should have been getting and that they're saving. So I try to make them, they understand the things that I do for them. And it's not just like me being stingy. I really want them to make more money and I really want them to do better. And in that sense, like they also want the salon to be successful and me be able to do these kinds of things.
That's
I don't know
great.
if that answers your question, but
no, it absolutely does. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So we got 2 more questions and we're running out of time. So I'm going to try and get through these, both these questions. So I think the first one is, how can we be more efficient with the time it takes to measure at first? can you be preloading formulas? So I'm going to answer the preloading one, and then I'll let everybody else talk about the initial sort of setup and using Bish. So yes, you can. What we recommend always, and I know it's hard to get hairdressers to come in before their shift, but through Bish, you are able to select your customer, you're able to select the ingredients that you're going to use. And when Vish asks you to put a bowl on the scale, at that point, if you press the overview button, that will allow you to get all your formula ingredients ready and then start mixing it when that guest arrives an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later. But Hope, Darrell, and Erin, if there's any other sort of points you want to bring up on that, how to make it more efficient in the beginning, we'd love to hear it.
I timed mine. I had someone, I had my SDP from Neil want me to meet with somebody that was thinking of using it, and they were thinking it's just going to be a disaster and it takes so much longer. It doesn't take a long time. Even with someone that's just starting to use it, it does not take more to mix like a base color formula. And then even to mix, you can mix that and a highlight at the same time. And it just should not take you more than a minute. I mean,
Correct.
It's no time.
We actually, we just made that part of our onboarding with our associates, and part of their kind of like final exam, if you will, is they had to mix 3 bowls of lightener or 3 bowls of color in under 4 minutes. And it's shocking. It does not take long at all.
Nope. We only had issues with a few of the technologically challenged staff members, but they're the ones that come in and load all their clients in early or when they get breaks, and it saves them a lot of time. So it hasn't really been an issue. We have 45 minutes for single processes and partial highlights. So if you can't consult, mix your color, apply in 45 minutes, you got to, after your season, there's an issue.
I only give mine 15. My retouches, a lot of them have 15 minutes to mix color and apply it. For it just, that works for them. But I have a 63-year-old lady that works for me, and she was adapted really quick. It's not, to me, it's not hard at all. And I make the front desk add all of my people that night when they're closing, they add all the people for the next day. So it makes it easier.
Okay, then somebody just asked, can you manually enter the formulas if preloading? Yep, you can manually enter them. You can select the target weights that you want to do. But to be honest with you, that is a good step to do in the beginning, but it's an extra step, right? To go in there, select your ingredients, set the target weights, do all that. When your client arrives, just start mixing. And like everybody said on this call, it's not a long time. It doesn't take long. It's just those moments when anything that you do that's new, it will take you a little bit longer, but it also takes you out of your comfort zone. So it's a matter of just pausing when you get that moment of, oh, I can't remember how to do that, just to take a minute, think about what you need to do and move through. We're always looking at ways to improve the interface of Vish and to make it easier for hairdressers. So you'll see some changes coming out in the coming months that make it much, our goal is always less time at the color bar, so that you can get in, mix your color, get out and be more efficient. But one thing I'll say about all of that and that time in the beginning is what's not obvious to hairdressers is what's on the other end. Is it what you do after you've mixed it? You don't have to record the formula. You don't have to enter those notes in your Salon software. You don't have to, go and count the inventory. All of these things are done for you while you're working. So just remember that, that initial learning curve is short, and you'll get through it quickly. The last question, and then I'm going to leave everybody to have a closing comments if they would like. But one person asked about how Vish will work with Salon Biz. So Vish, right now, we have quite a few integration partners. And by integrating with your Salon software, what we do is we take your appointments for the day, and then we preload them onto the tablet for you. I don't think so. If we take, for example, Hope and Erin both have an integrated Salon software, but Darrell doesn't. So if we could just kind of talk about, like, there are definitely benefits in terms of speed, but it's not a hindrance to not be. And maybe I'll just let you talk about that, Darrell. It's not a long time if you're not integrated either, is it?
It's not a hindrance at all. I don't know any different. I do have a meeting with another software company tomorrow, and I have a Zoom call with Erin on Friday to go over her software to discuss the benefits and of that as well. So it's no different. Can I show something really quick as my closing?
Absolutely.
Two things.
Absolutely.
for anybody out there, Tim and the entire Vish crew is very receptive. I've been on FaceTime with Tim on a Saturday and a Sunday and a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in my salon, asking him a question, right? Any day of the week. And for all those people that are worried about their stylists and their allocations, we have this put up as all of our allocations, if you can see that. So they know when they're getting close to their client having to pay money. So it entices them to stay below and not be a heavy pourer anyways. All right, so this is posted for them. They know exactly what they can mix. And we've even got our keratin treatment on here, and we can incorporate other things as well, besides color.
Thank you, Darrell. And yeah, if anybody, this is something that we started doing during COVID or just when we reopened. So if you don't have a product allowance sheet and you would like a product allowance sheet, please reach out to us. You can email the CS team, the customer support team at support, SUPPORT, at getvish.com. And we'd be happy to meet with you and to set up a product allowance meeting with you as well. Anything you want to add, Erin, before we go?
I think you should just do it. I do. I think I wish we would have done it sooner. I mean, just our additional product charges that we were able to capture within the first 3 months paid for the iPad and all the things. So I think that was my big question mark before we signed up. And I think you just have to jump in. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And what about you, Hope? Is there anything you want to say before we say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah, definitely do it. I agree with Erin. I got rid of Demand Force, and what I paid for Demand Force, I was able to add Vish and also get a texting reminder and still save like $175 a month. And that's before I ever had any idea of what I would really save in inventory and how much I would make in additional revenue. So it's super easy. I mean, and y'all I've talked to you on Sundays often actually. But I think that you're very available and it's super easy. It seems like change is bad, but it's what we try to make our team members see is change is good. So we have to then be that change and show them that it's not hard to do it and this is how it's going to benefit you. And so I think it's super easy. You guys will be glad if you did it, I promise.
I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. And just so everybody knows, yeah, we're available Sundays, but but it's not a regular thing. We're happy to work with you any day of the week. But yeah, but just to thank you for that, because I know, and I just want to say thank you to everybody at Bish and the CS team, because they work incredibly hard to make sure that everybody is able to use Bish and understand how to use it, and are really there to help coach as we implement new things in the salon. One of the things with Bish is that there's not necessarily a point of reference like we had, when I'm old enough to went through the paper appointment book and then into a digital. There was not much, there's a little point of reference. Bish is new, but like everybody said, it's not frightening and it doesn't take you a long time. We've got a really streamlined onboarding process. So if anybody's interested, if they need training or they just want to reconnect over your data, we'd be happy to do it. I just want to just say thank you to Hope, Erin, and Darrell, because I really appreciate you taking the time and working with us and just saying all the positive things you've had to say about Bish. So again, thank you all very much. And I hope that we can do these a little bit more. I think it's very helpful to salons, as we're in lockdown, as we have less communication with other peers in the network. Our goal at Bish is to really connect hairdressers, salon owners, and have more of these forums. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope you're having a great Monday, and I look forward to this, to doing these more frequently. So again, reach out to us, support at Get Bish if you need anything. If anybody on the call is looking for a demo, you can go to our website and directly book a demo, or just let us know through the chat here or through an email. All right. Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Happy Monday.
Yes, you too. Bye-bye.